Director of Instruction for US Golf TV at the Sanford Power Golf Academy. Here's my good friend Sam Bosser, lead golf coach here at the Sanford Golf Academy. Sam, we got some stuff planned for this evening.
We're excited to get you here and get going and talk about this new product.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So tonight, here's what we're going to be doing. We're diving right into this. We're going to get right into this. We're talking about how traditional coaching, all right, might be killing your distance, especially as we get older. So what we're going to talk about here tonight is specifically to those of you out there, I don't like to call them older, maybe a little bit
Stay
more.
away from that.
Okay, let's stay away. We're going to talk more experienced golfers, and when we go through this, we're going to talk about the setup, we're going to talk about, you know, the backswing and a lot of those types of stuff here. But bear in mind as we go through this, we're going to talk about traditional coaching versus some other ideas that might help you as you get a little bit older. We're not saying that what you're hearing is wrong.
No, we're not.
We're saying that basically what's happening is the information you're getting might be more geared towards younger golfers. It's really kind of what we're saying. And then I'm really excited to be talking about a new product that was just made aware to us that I think can really help a lot of you out there. So, hey, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us on our different spots. The Sanford Power Golf Academy, here you can find us, you know, Sanford Power Golf Academy. Just search it, you'll find us. We're on social media, we're on Twitter, Instagram.
We're on everything.
We're all over the place.
Worldwide.
And then, of course, you're following us right here on US Golf TV. So let's dive right into this, Sam. I want to talk, first of all, about distance. Because we're hearing a lot about distance and power. Tell me, what are some of your takes just in general on where the game sits relative to distance? What are we, because I see a lot, distance is a hot topic right now. Do you see that trend continuing, or do you think it's just kind of something that's maybe here for a short time?
I think it's here to stay. I think it's something that, of course, at all different levels, starting at the top. You've got some leaders in the industry, Bryson DeChambeau, of course, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson. These guys are hitting the ball a long way, Todd. And so I think, you know, in general, we love to hit the ball far. That is something we enjoy when we're on the drive range or we're on that first tee. So I think it's something that is going to trickle down all the way to the recreational golfer, the weekend warriors. I mean, we want to hit the ball farther. So at the end of the day, I think it's here to stay, and I'm excited to find some different ways to help you with some of this technique as well as this new product that we have in store.
All right, so there's no question that distance is not going anywhere. So first thing I want to talk about is, let's talk about some of the hot topics in golf right now. So let's go ahead and switch spots.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm hearing a lot about in the golf swing is, you know, they want to get the club deep and get it behind you. That's a pretty popular term. First of all, what does that mean? And then let's talk a little bit about why it might be good, why it might not be good.
Yeah, so in general, this golf swing that we have is kind of this circular motion, and it's kind of on a plane that kind of works behind us, up behind us, and through. And so the very popular term right now is talking about getting the hands deep behind you. So the depth of your handle is really what they're talking about, Todd. So if we start with our golf swing and think about this line that's going up my toe and off my heel, if I can get this handle back and high and behind me, that's a way right now the industry leaders are saying that's how you can create more power, because the swing's going to be longer, it's behind you, which in theory is going to give you this longer arc that should create more club head speed, resulting in more ball speed.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of tour pros do that.
Yes.
I mean, and some of the best players in the world. So basically what we're saying is that in order to get the club deep, you gotta get it back and behind you, which allows you to rotate, hit it from the inside. I mean, if any of you out there are slicing the golf ball, right, you've probably been told you're coming over the top and things like that. And if you have any questions, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later here tonight. We're gonna give you time to ask some questions about, you know, hey, I'm slicing the golf ball, those types of things. What could I be doing to help me with that? We can talk about that. But basically, we gotta get the club back and behind us, right, and get it there. Now, what are some things? Because when I've seen you do that, what are some things that might be required out of the body? Because when I want to start talking to some of our experienced golfers, what are some things that are required and able to do that in the body?
That's a great question. So just to assume that everybody can get to that position, Todd, I think is really important. So all of a sudden you're trying to swing back there. You know, our experienced golfers, you need to be able to have the mobility to be able to turn your hips, also be able to turn your upper body, which is known as kind of our thoracic and our T-spine. So at the end of the day, it sounds simple to get my hands back here, but some of us are just not able to do it. You know, we have day jobs, we have all sorts of different things, injuries. So some of us might not have the mobility to actually get our hands this far back. We might do the best we can and the handle's only here. So it really comes down to some of this understanding of how to actually turn my hips and my upper body, but a lot of times we're limited as we get older.
Okay, so would you agree that in order to hit the ball, further down the fairway, I've got to have some length in my backswing? I mean,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
okay,
Yeah.
so all right, because a lot of you out there, especially the longer you've been playing the game, your swing doesn't get longer. Typically, gets a little bit shorter. When
Yes.
we see kids coming to the academy, they're young and supple, and they can really swing and get long. But as we get older, that gets a little bit shorter. So we want the swing to be a little bit longer.
Yes, and that in general, again, is going to create, all things else considered, more energy into the golf ball. It's a longer arc, which you can create more angles, creating that club head speed.
Okay, so let's make switch spots with you for a second. And if you wouldn't mind grabbing a couple balls there, I'm going to hit a couple shots. So what Coach Sam has said there is 100% correct. Traditional coaching, not bad coaching, just traditional, but it's typically built. A lot of what we see in golf instruction is geared around what's happening on the big tours.
Yes.
At that particular time, and we're copying those people. We live in a world where, hey, this gal won, let's do what she does, or this guy went on tour, let's do what they do. But what about the older golfer who isn't moving? So one of the things that Sam and I have worked on, we've had a lot of success with our people don't have the mobility to move that way, is what we like to call the vertical line. And the reason I use the word vertical line is because what Coach Sam was telling you is 100% correct. He's like, in order to get that handle deep and get behind you, I call that more of a flatter plane or horizontal, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're not here to debate terms. But in essence, you got to have a lot of rotation. However, if you swing the club, what I like to call more vertical, meaning your lead arm more straight back and straight up, that doesn't require as much flexibility. So if I just hit a shot here right now, okay, I'm sitting here, and I haven't loosened up much, so we're not quite sure where this is going to go, but I'm going to swing my left arm more straight back and up. Okay, now that's pretty easy. If I try to swing my arm more around my body, okay, get it deeper, like I said already 3 times, not bad information, it's just different. In order to do that, okay, I got to really twist and turn. Let me go ahead and hit one. Okay, now that felt pretty solid too, but I definitely could feel some stress in my back and some stuff like that. So, the first tip I want to give you is think more vertical with your golf swing. More lead arm straight back and straight up. So let me do a little test here, and I'm going to have Coach Sam give me some input, and then we're going to talk about hip turn, because that's a big thing with the golf swing as well. So, Coach, if I'm here, and I'm just going to turn my hips and my shoulders a little bit, okay, if I get my lead arm kind of flat and the handle deep, okay, how does the length of this swing compare to if I don't move my body at all, but I just take my lead arm and then move it more straight out in front of me, and then I have some more room. Is this swing longer or shorter than the other one?
Looks longer to me, just by getting that club more vertical with that lead arm.
So you can see that. So one of the things that Coach Sam said earlier, which is 100% correct, is that with length of swing, we get more distance, all things being equal. And when you take your lead arm, this is the drill we give our students, so they could just swing straight back right here. I know some pretty good players who play golf. One of them, probably arguably the best of all time, he kind of turned his head a little bit, went like that. Those of you out there watching, you know who I'm talking about. And he just swung his arm straight back here and straight up. And if you look at a lot of the old timers, that's what you'll see. So that's the first tip that I want to give you is if you want to get the handle deep, that's okay. But you better have the range of motion in order to do that. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you have some questions or comments, be sure to throw those in the chat, because we're going to do our best to answer those. We got our main man, Nick, behind the camera. He's always taking good care of us, and he's going to let us know if we got anything there. So all right, let's go ahead and switch spots. That's the first thing we want to talk about. All right, now, let's talk about this thing called X factor.
Yeah.
Because these are another thing. I've heard about getting the club deep, getting back and behind us. What about X factor? What is X factor for our viewers out there?
So X factor is really focusing on the kind of the change or the difference between what my lower body and my upper body are doing, Coach. So at the end of the day, we're trying to, create a coil. And so this has been something that's been very commonly used for people to kind of feel a stretch. So as they go back, they really feel separation with their upper body from their lower body, which in theory would create kind of a slingshot motion. So this is something that's been taught for a while. Again, there's different ways to do it, but that's something that a lot of pros or teachers over the last 20 years have tried to use with their students, is to create more speed by literally feeling like their shoulders and their hips are kind of separating, and then really feeling like the hips are going first and letting that body kind of lag behind, creating kind of that stretch.
Okay, so let's go ahead and face the camera there once.
Okay.
And so, go and get set. So what you're talking about here, just to make sure everybody understands, you're talking about the difference between how much your hips turn and how much your shoulders turn? Is that what we're
Yes,
talking
yep,
about
that
there?
is exactly right.
Okay.
So if we go up here, I can actually get more range of motion with my upper body. My hips can only turn so far, so I can turn my shoulders a little bit farther. Now again, everyone has different range of motion. So that right there, coiling, kind of feeling it in the core, that is kind of that X factor. And again, when you have that, in theory, it's going to release kind of those hips to go first, with your lower body kind of flying behind there. So that's been something that's been taught pretty regularly on the lesson team.
And I don't think it's bad advice. And I mean, when we're talking about length of swing, which was the first topic, we talked about deep versus vertical.
Yes.
So we've got to have length of swing, right? We're going to talk about here in a little bit, we're going to talk about driver. Because this is, this is where we get into like, I mean, that's where we all want the most distance. It's nice that you're 7-iron further, but at the end of the day, it's how far do we hit our driver. So, length of swing is X factor. Now, and I want to give you an alternative to X factor. That means you can't move the way that people could move. But talk to me also about, like, I hear creating more X factor, it sounds super complicated, but in the downswing, like increasing that.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you teach that?
Well, first
can
you gotta be
teach that?
you gotta be Dustin Johnson. You gotta be able 40-inch vert. So, you know, at the end of the day, with that X factor, again, it's just trying to literally create those hips going while you're trying to feel like your upper body is resisting.
Okay.
So, and even some, and again, it's worked for some players, but some sort of even resistance, feeling resistance with one part of your body while the other part of your body is really stretching. And so that's really, you know, the X factor that has worked for players, and for some people that, you know, as they get more older and they're trying to hit the ball farther, it's just not possible to get their body turning like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's switch spots.
All
Great
right.
work on that. This is why we have Coach Sam talk about the traditional stuff, because he's a little bit younger. He's up to date on all the new stuff that's happening. What he said is 100% correct. This X factor, and as I said earlier, I want to be careful here. We're not saying that that's wrong.
No.
And we're not saying that you should, you know, hey, if you got a lot of X factor, that's great.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, one, is hard to teach. I don't know for you.
Very
but I
hard.
think it's very difficult. Okay. Number two is that in order, Coach Sam hit the word right, he nailed it right on the head. He said, you got to have some resistance. And the minute I hear the word resistance, I think, okay, I'm turning one thing and I'm resisting something else, and my body doesn't move like it used to. Number one is it ain't gonna be able to do it. Number two is that could hurt my back, it could hurt my knee. There's a lot of things that are going on. So the other alternative to that I think is a good option for what we were calling our experienced golfers tonight, is movement. Now, one of the things we're really passionate about here at the Sanford Power Golf Academy and at US Golf TV is some of the science. We got some scientists here, we got some really smart people. And one of the things that we've learned from our scientists is that there's basically 3 ways to create speed.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so there's rotation, which is kind of what Coach Sam was talking about. Rotary, moving, turn. Think of some sports you do where you rotate. There's a lot of them. Okay. There's vertical, up and down. And I don't know about your vertical, but is it bigger now than it was in high school?
No, it's definitely gone down.
Okay, so you got vertical. And then the other one is in essence, you kind of got, I don't like the word lateral, but it's kind of side to side.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a great way to think of it, for sure.
And I think that as golfers get older, I think the side to side is one that gets a bad rap because people think of sway, but it's one of the best ones. So one of the ways, instead of using X factor, is you could use side to side. So what I mean by that is that one of the things we teach a lot here at the Academy is pressure movement. So pressure movement, think of it as basically weight. So we always start with a little bit of weight on our lead foot. More 60%, is 60-40 is a phrase we use. Doesn't have to be exactly 60, but generally, right? So I start 60, and then I immediately move that 60 to my trail foot. So I go from 60 to maybe, I don't know what, 80?
Yeah, 80, 85.
Yeah.
Sometimes 90, just depending on if you need that much just to get behind the ball.
It's a great, yeah. So I'm working to 90 or whatever it is, but that movement, Coach, would it be fair to say that movement from lead to trail can create some speed?
Very fair to say, and it's a great source of energy for anybody. I think it's, to assume everybody needs to have the exact same way they move back and forth, it's just, I mean, it'd be ideal for everybody, but that lateral, not sway, again, it's not, I just think it's got a bad rap, like you said. So that is a great way to get some more power.
So the tip I want to give you here is that when you're set up, you're looking for more distance. I'll go ahead and hit another shot here. I'm getting some shots.
You are. You're on fire.
I haven't hit balls all day, and I've been watching everybody else hit balls. I want to hit a couple. All right, so we're in here. So what Coach Sam said is 100% correct. If I start a little on my lead side, I push towards my trail side. That movement from lead to trail and then back to lead can really help me. Now, and I'm just going to say this, and we're going to move on next thing, because I really want to talk about this new product that one of my really good friends just invented. It's pretty crazy. He gave us a limited supply that we could sell tonight or show or whatever you want to call it, but we've got our hands on a few of them. But is that when you move from side to side, that can help you create some more club head speed and some stuff like that. So what I want you to take away from this first part of the discussion right here is that there's traditional coaching, and then there's coaching for where you're at in life, where you're at with your game, how much time you have to practice. So I like to see more vertical line, more straight back and up. I think that's a good thing because length of swing is going to give you more distance. Okay? If you're young and you're athletic and you want to get your handle deep, I think that's a good thing too, but you better be able to move like that. All right? Number two is X factor is a good thing. It's very difficult to teach.
Yes.
All right? Very difficult to teach. And also, it's not the only power source that's available to you. You do have rotation, i.e. X factor, whatever you want to call it. You have some vertical, which we're not even going to talk about tonight, and you also have side to side. So that pressure shift from side to side is a big one. All right, so let's talk about the driver. Now, if you got any questions, be sure to fire those in there, because our main man, Nick, he's behind the camera. He's taking good care of us. And it looks like you might have you got a question for us right now?
I do. I'd like to get to it just before we move on. Joseph asking, I think about the length of the backswing and the vertical line swing. Is that going to encourage an over-the-top motion, kind of exacerbating that slice, or is it from going more vertical than behind?
Okay, this is a really good question, and thank you for asking that. If anybody else has got some questions, be sure to fire those in there, because if you would have asked me that probably 2 years ago, I would have said yes. Now, the reason I'm going to say no is because we're seeing some changes in the tour right now.
We are.
We're seeing some of these young players, and I'm not going to name names right now, but you know who they are. They've kind of they're really doing this kind of like movement, right? Okay, and they're swinging that club straight back and up. Now, I'm going to get coach's input here, but one might argue that by taking the club back and getting it more vertical on the backswing, it has a better chance to shallow or flatten out in the downswing. Now, you could argue the opposite of that true, also I would say. But I would say this to answer your question, and we'll have Coach Sams give his input, is that I think if your sequence is right, I don't think that you should really worry about that. I don't think it's going to cause you to come over the top. What are your thoughts?
I would agree with you, Todd. I think that's another discussion for another day, but as far as this golf club getting it up and more vertical, it should feel lighter at the top if you do that too. So if it's lighter, it has a chance to shallow, is kind of the term, or drop behind you. If you get sometimes the club back here and you're turning behind, you're trying to get your hands back, it's heavy, and the first move it's like a sledgehammer. And all of a sudden, you think you're making this great backswing, and the club balance is all off, and it's heavy, and you're going to want to kind of throw it, which gets over the top. So Tony Finau comes to mind for me. Tony has a relatively shorter swing relative to some of the players on tour, but he has a very vertical motion, and he has a beautiful kind of shallowing move into the golf ball. He can hit it both ways, but he'd be a prime example for someone that has kind of more of this vertical line up.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. So we got a couple more questions coming in here, but I do want to do this, because those of you who we appreciate you coming over and spending time with us. We love doing this. I hope you're picking up on that. This is the best part.
We're matching today too, so
we're matching.
Hopefully you picked up on that.
We love doing this, and we really do, in all honesty, appreciate you here at US Golf TV and the Sanford Park Golf Academy. So what I want to do right now, for those of you who are still here, one of our guys, Jordan, he's a good guy, he's going to put a link in here with a spot to our Science of the Slice. It's an ebook that I wrote a couple years ago. It's pretty dang in-depth. And if you like to talk about the golf swing or learn about the golf swing from the science, it's called Science of the Slice. I mean, thousands of people have have read this and has really helped their game. So he's gonna throw that in there for you as a treat and just a simple thank you for coming over and doing that for you. So Jordan, make sure you're doing that, buddy. Take good care of it. So anyhow, Nick's got another question. Then we're gonna, I got you guys are holding me up. I want to talk about this
Gotta get in the big dog
new
here.
toy I got, and you guys are holding me at bay. I got to get to this toy. Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, I got, going back to that movement there, let me make sure I say it properly before. Would the weight shift allow you more turn in the backswing?
Okay, I'm going to let Coach Sam get in there. Come on, here you go. You haven't hit a shot all day. Get
Oh
over
my
there.
gosh, after this guy straight 3 in a row. So, great question. I would say the best way to think about it is it allows you more time to get back to the golf ball. So yes, in theory, if you get more this way, you're just gonna have more time to create energy this way. So is it in theory getting longer just because of the weight shift? I think it's a great kind of a co-component as far as with that vertical move. So will it actually create a longer swing? Probably not, but it'll be a great thing to add with this kind of vertical thing, you know, the vertical line, which would create length in the swing. So there's different things that can create more distance. One is the vertical line, but then this movement and energy through the ball more laterally is going to be a great way to do that. So.
Hey, let's do. I didn't plan on doing this, so I'm going to go off script here a little bit on
Okay.
you guys. I know I like to do this. He's already seems like, oh my gosh, where's he going with this right now? But show them. I'll set it up for you, but show them the pivot move. Okay, but so one of our good friends who we met, a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Moore. He works with the men's and women's team at Oklahoma State. He's a smart dude.
He's a very smart guy.
And he's a great player and just a wonderful, nice person. But he showed us some stuff, and I think this might answer part of the question there. And also talk about hip turn. Show them the kind of little step back move that sometimes you use here at the academy. This is a great one. This is gold right here.
So this is kind of this movement pattern that allows us to kind of transfer this feel of what my lower body and upper body should be doing. So Jonathan gave us this great drill. When you bring this club back into kind of the initial takeaway, you're going to drop this right foot back and open up this hip. And you're really feeling like your weight and your pressure is getting into this right foot. So as you swing it up, I'm kind of doing this motion, and I stepped off there, but I'm going to feel, again, like I'm getting the club, I'm turning the hip back, and that just in general, it just allows us to feel what it feels like to kind of get the body working back behind me, Todd.
That is one of my favorite, when somebody comes here to the academy, and they're struggling with a bad back, or they can't turn, or they can't rotate, they're frustrated, their swing's like about this long.
Yes.
That's the first thing I go to, because I gotta help them. Movement is good, all right? When especially as we get older, that's kind of the topic tonight here. How do we get more distance as we get older? You gotta move. And your body's not gonna twist and turn like it used to. So you darn well better create some patterns that allow you to do that.
And you're not really resisting anything when you're doing that, Todd. You're trying to feel like your body is turning back towards the target, which just gives you some freedom and discovery of how to get the club back above you somehow.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, all right, so we're going to dive into this driver, and thank you for those of you who are still here listening to it. Love hearing from you. Got questions, keep firing those in there. Hopefully Nick has Jordan put that link in there for
Yes,
science
he
and
has.
slides. Okay, he's on top
Man
of
of
it.
his word.
All right, and we're going to dive into this new cool toy. This is like a completely new category.
Can't wait to get into
Yeah,
it.
this is pretty good. Okay, anyhow, so we'll talk about the driver.
Okay.
All right, let's get the driver. Go ahead and tee one up there, and I'm going to set this up for you here a little bit.
Okay.
Now, I want to talk about, because here's the thing. When with driving, that's where we're looking for the most distance. And I want Coach Sam to go through this a little bit. Like, if I'm hitting a driver, a traditional driver, because that's what we're talking about. Traditional versus maybe a little bit different way of looking at things. If I'm hitting a traditional driver, what do I got to do in my setup to make this work with this club?
Setup is key in any swing that you make, but driver, it's crucial. So for the traditional teaching of the driver, what has been taught, for years is the driver is the longest club in the bag. So
Does that make it more difficult?
Yes, in general, it has a longer arc, and it's got the least amount of loft of any golf club.
Okay, so let me interrupt there real quick. So just to make sure you understand this, all things being equal, is it fair to say that if a club is longer, it has less loft, it's more challenging to hit straight or consistent or solid?
All things, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right, let's go. Okay.
So, part of this with less loft on a golf club is you need to get that ball up in the air, especially as we start to, lose some of our distance as we get experienced golfers, we get older, okay? We need to figure out how to launch that ball up there. So the first thing that we have to focus on is our ball position. So most times for most golfers, the more we can put it off of our left foot, even off of my left heel, that is number one, okay? I'm gonna have a little bit wider base because I need to support my golf swing being more violent. I need to make sure I get a weight shift. The other thing, Todd, would be how I set up kind of my upper body and my lower body. So what we like to see at the Golf Academy here is we like to see our hip. This would be pretty neutral. We like to see this hip bump a little left. And just naturally, that's gonna kind of tilt my upper body a little bit behind the ball. So I'm getting just naturally, not uncomfortable, my left shoulder is gonna be a little bit higher. And now that's gonna create a little bit more of a launching type of a swing, as opposed to maybe the ball being more in the middle and maybe having a little bit more of a descending blow into the golf ball. So not for everybody, but again, if we're trying to help someone get the ball up in there and hit it farther, we're definitely gonna focus on ball position first, making sure that my upper body is kind of tilted a little bit so my left eye is right behind the golf ball.
Okay, I would agree with everything you just said there, and you're a world-class coach, and that was a lot of information.
It was.
And that was, but it was all accurate, 100% information. And you do suppose to tell us because we want to hit up on the ball,
Yes.
right? Okay, okay. All right, so let's switch spots. You've held me off long enough. And I noticed you didn't even hit that club.
You are our demonstrator tonight.
Okay,
so.
okay. All right, so this, one of my good friends sent us just 2 of them to demo out, and he told me tonight that we could sell 10 of them. I said, listen, we might want to sell more than 10 of them.
I think we
And he
do.
said, no. He's like, you only get 10. I'm like, okay, fine. I only get 10. So anyhow, that's what we got. And in a little bit here in a second, because I want to tell you about this first, because I think it could really help you, because it really ties into exactly what we're talking about here tonight. Jordan, in a second here, we'll kind of throw in a spot to look at it if you're interested. But anyway, so this is called the Teton. And my buddy who came up with this, he partnered with an engineer, and he's come up with a lot of different products. And I can promise you this, I can't tell you all the details because he told me I can't say names, but you've seen his clubs.
Absolutely.
You've seen them on TV, and you probably bought one. You probably got some in your bag right now. But it's called the Teton. And what he said to me is, he said, hey, Todd, you got to take a look at this club, because I know you work with a lot of golfers of all ages and skill sets. And he said, this club can help people off the tee. And I said, well, okay, why is that? Well, he said, first of all, a traditional driver, it doesn't make them, they're not bad clubs, all right? I know I'm repeating myself here, but when we talk about traditional coaching versus what we're suggesting today, we're not saying good or bad. It's just different.
Yes.
And in order to swing a club, Coach Sam already said, look at the length of the difference there, first of all. Can you tell much difference?
So it already looks like it's, 2 or 3 inches shorter than your standard probably driver, which is probably 43 or 44 inches.
Yeah, so it's shorter, so we know for one, okay, I don't care who makes the golf club, if it's shorter, it's easier to hit straight and one center face. I think everybody would agree with that. Okay, let's go ahead and pick it up, and you can look at them yourself there. We'll turn them around. Let's look at them this way, Coach. So that, yeah, so it's got more of a hybrid type design. Now, let me ask you this. What's your most favorite club in your bag for most golfers?
It's the driver.
It's the driver.
It's
They
the
love
driver,
hitting
yeah.
the driver, okay. But when they think about the club that's the most consistent or the easiest to hit, almost inevitably they say, I love my hybrids.
It's a hybrid.
I love my hybrids because I don't take a divot and I can swing it. And so the other thing that the Teton has here is it's got the design features of a hybrid. So you'll notice that you can kind of compare it to the two heads there, that it's got more of the features of where the mass is at and those types of stuff. So we got a club that's a little bit shorter, okay? We got features in it that are more hybrid. Okay, so that's great because it feels good off the face, but we got to have distance.
I have.
All right, so the other thing that they did, what they told me, I'm going to hit a couple, I'm going to make you hit a couple here tonight too, all right?
I'll hit a couple.
is that it's got a larger face, a deeper face on it, and it's almost got, it's a driver face on it. So you've got hybrid design, driver face, okay, and a little bit a shorter shaft. Now the last thing, well, there's not any other things, but the other thing is it's got 15 degrees of loft on it. It's got some loft on it. Now, is it fair to say that very little loft makes it difficult to hit it straight?
Yeah, more curve for sure.
More curve for sure. We see it all the time. The other part about it too is that a lot of people when I watch them hit a longer driver that's typically built for a tour pro. I mean, is they're hitting these low bullets. They're low, they don't get in the air, and they go low and to the right, okay? This got some more loft on it.
It's gonna launch it.
Gotta launch it. All right, so let's hit a couple, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. I'm gonna hit the first couple, it's on a mat. I'm gonna hit the first couple off the ground. Because I have asked, a lot of people have asked about, can I hit it off the ground? Then we'll hit a couple off the tee a little bit, and I'll have Coach Sam hit a few and see. So the first thing I noticed, I was playing with a little bit earlier today, so I have to be honest here, because I couldn't help myself. But anyhow, the first couple times I hit it, I could tell, like, I liked the length of it versus a traditional driver, and the shaft felt really good.
It sounds great.
Yeah, I like the way that it feels and swings a little bit. Go ahead and hit a couple, and then I'm going to grab a couple tees here, and we can hit a few there.
Yeah, so the first thing I notice is just the look of it too, Todd, as I'm looking down. Sometimes it's nice to see something that doesn't have such a big, something behind it in the eyesight. So it looks like it's friendly and I can hit it, just off the tee nice.
Ooh!
That's a pop on
That was, okay, I'm done hitting for the night. Now, okay, get back in there again.
All right.
Get back in there. Okay, I gotta, okay, get set up there.
Okay.
So one of the things I noticed right away, and Coach Sam said earlier, when you're hitting traditional driver, you're gonna move the ball forward, tilt your hip, tilt your upper body, aim a little right if you're a right-handed golfer, raise your lead arm. I know it sounds like a lot, but that's what you gotta do. You grab that, and you immediately set up just like you did like your 6-iron or 7-iron. The ball went right in this normal spot, a little bit off, okay? A little bit off the lead shoulder, okay? And so that's one of the things that I noticed right away when I played with it a little bit this afternoon, is that it's the same swing.
It's the exact same. You don't have to change anything up. You're not overthinking before you hit the golf ball.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going through all these different checkpoints and all that type. Now, it might cost us some lessons because
I know.
they can just grab it and they can hit it. But, all right, now, that tee's maybe a little bit high, so you might have to hover a little bit. But go ahead and hit one more, and then I'm going to jump in there. And now, if you got some questions on this club or whatever, and I think maybe, Jordan, if you've got, ooh, geez Louise, this guy, get out of there.
All right, your turn, Todd.
Jordan, let's do this. I think my buddy told me we had 10 of them that we could sell tonight. These 2 are not being sold. We're keeping these for us, so we can't have those. So he'll put the link in there, and if you got questions on it, let it know. But all right, so let me get a couple more here. So talk to me, Coach, as I'm hitting a few. Talk to us about some of the challenges you see as a coach when it comes to the driver for the person who plays once a week and got a bad back. Because that's really kind of who we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I think everybody at the end of the day wants to hit it far, but they're also trying to find the balance. I won't say well. I'm trying to find the fairway. And so, generally, the weekend warrior, someone who only plays a couple times a month, the less thinking, the better. And so at the end of the day, there's so many things you can focus on with your golf swing, all the different factors of playing golf. Something like this, where you're just setting up very similar to maybe one of your 5 or 6 iron, and then you feel comfortable. You're getting the distance, but you're also creating just a more accurate golf shot. Because at the end of the day, these guys are hitting the ball far. You still got to hit the fairway, Todd.
You got to hit the ball in the
fairway.
fairway.
Hit the fairway.
So all right. So I'm looking down in here, one is this, this head it's a little bit small. One of the things with the big heads, they're so darn big. I mean, which I know, they think gives you more sweet spot, but it's almost like it's too, I don't know. I don't like the look of the huge heads. But this one here, the Teton, it's got a little bit shorter head. I definitely like the shorter shaft. Do that back.
Yep.
I hit one more here. And I really like the fact that you can set up the same and make the same swing no matter what. So let me go ahead and hit one more. Then I'm going to let Coach Sam get back in there and hit a couple. Woo!
That might be the new move right there.
Try that.
All right,
You got one. Yeah, you already got one there.
All
Nick,
right.
how we doing? We got any questions or anything we need to talk about there yet? We're gonna be wrapping it up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I do have one about some drills for consistency.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm going to try the vertical line, and I'm going to try that little bit of that side movement to see if I can hit this ball.
Solid.
That was going a long way.
You're moving really nice on that thing. Go ahead and hit one more. So we got a question. What is that, Nick, on consistency?
Yeah, how can I be more consistent off the tee? Do you have any drills?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Nice. Really good. Okay, let's switch spots. All right. So consistency. Well, first thing is that off the tee, there's a lot of variables. We already talked about that. So you want to create a consistent process in your setup. So let me go ahead and go through what I would tell you. if you were here with me. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do it with Teton.
Okay.
And then you can do it with the traditional driver. So with Teton, because it's the same swing, right? Because it's built for that. It's built for the same swing. It's not a different swing. But like I said earlier, it's got driver features on it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your feet together. Okay, I'm going to put the ball in the center. So I'm going to put my feet together, and I got the ball right in the center. So from the camera there, just to kind of show you, I got my feet together, and the ball is right in the center of my feet. All right? Now, after I do that, I'm going to go ahead and separate my lead foot, just like I would like a 6-iron, 3-4 inches this way, and then my trail foot's going to go back whatever distance I need to get comfortable. Okay, it's a little bit different for each person based on your body build and stuff like that. Because you got to have the ball in the right spot. If you don't have the ball in the right spot, you're going to have problems. So that would be the drill that I would do to get set up right there, 3-4 inches, trail foot back a little bit, go ahead. Oh, there, I'm getting warmed up now. All right, so how about with the traditional driver? What would be the process you go through there?
Yeah, kind of following the same thing. So what I liked what Todd said there was, of course, ball position, but what this is also this process where you're setting up with your feet basically between the ball, is it's also helping align your body.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if we can't get aligned correctly and we don't have the ball position, we don't even have a chance to hit the ball in the fairway and hit it a long way. So same thing, we're gonna maybe take the smallest step with our left foot, maybe just a baby step, and then take a normal step back, which is gonna get our ball position more off of my left heel, my lead heel. And then all I'm gonna do from there is just feel a little bit of tilt behind with my hip forward. And that's just a great process, something that gets overlooked a lot of times with any golfer.
Yeah. Okay, let's go and switch spots.
Okay.
I got one more tip for you here in the driver, and then we'll see you got some more questions. We put that link in there for Science of the Slice. Just says a thank you. It's an ebook, like I said, we wrote a while ago, and then we've got a couple limited supply of the Teton. I think it's a great golf club. Playing with it today, you were smoking those things. You
I'm
might.
putting it in the bag.
You
Oh
might
yeah,
want one of those.
tomorrow, absolutely.
We'll get those for, yeah. You're not even a senior golfer yet, Coach. All right. The other tip I'll give you with the driver, and then we'll do some review, it's my favorite tip, is to hover the club. All right, if you've watched any of our videos at US Golf TV, you've seen this, and here's pretty simple. You're just going to take the club, whatever club you're hitting, okay, typically when you're hitting it off a tee, is you're just going to hover it right behind there. So as I'm sitting here, I'm just hovering the club right behind the ball. Now, why do I do that? Oh, a couple of things. Number one is if the ball's on the tee, it's more of a through motion, not a down motion. All right, so by just hovering the club, that sets the tone for the club working more through. The other thing that it does is that when you're holding the club and you're bearing the weight of the club, that I have found really helps your rhythm and your tempo in the takeaway. Would you? I mean, a lot of people just snatch it away.
Yeah, I think it just really focuses you in on the importance of that tempo right away. So, and it's a great, like you said, for any shot, generally, for most people to sweep through the ball is better than most people are coming super, super steep on the ball. But which is why the Teton is great, because it kind of neutralizes everything out. Even if you are a steeper golfer, it has that technology to be forgiving. So
That's a good point, because with the Teton, you can tee it down.
Yeah,
when you
you
tee
tee
it
it
up, it's on the tee, but it's definitely down. I mean, go ahead, next time you're playing golf, take a look at the top of your driver. If you got some sky marks on there, that means you're hitting too much down on it because you got it teed up too high. So that would be the tip that I give. All right, so here's the thing. Just because we've played golf for a long time does not mean that you can't still have distance. But you've got to be thinking about, how do I create distance now compared to how I did maybe when I first started playing the game? All right, when you first start playing the game, get that deep, create some X factor, those types of stuff, good stuff. But as we play golf longer and we get a little bit older, you got to start looking elsewhere. Maybe vertical line. All right, we did a whole video series on this vertical line because I'm just really passionate about it, helping people play great golf even as they get a little bit older. So think, hey, where's your lead arm working? Work a little bit more straight back and up. Okay, maybe you should be working some pivot shift from left side to right side. I love the drill that Coach Sam gave you there about opening the hips up and letting the hips turn a little bit. And also, you got to be taking a look at your equipment. Is your equipment made for you, or is it made for guys or gals who are playing golf on TV? What other final thoughts you got for our group here before we wrap it up?
I just think there's a lot of different ways to get it done. So a lot of times we focus on the tour and what those guys are doing. have a ton of time to do it. So at the end of the day, you just have to, like Todd said, there may be a different way to get it done. And I think today we started to kind of throw out some different alternatives. Doesn't mean that the traditional is the wrong way, but at the end of the day, all that matters, the ball doesn't care what the club's doing as long as it goes straight. So there's so many different ways to get it done, and I think we've provided a few different things here to really help, you know, maybe find some more distance. And then with the Teton, just make it more fun to hit off the tee and just really enjoy hitting that ball. I think this club has the perfect match for that.
Great stuff. All right, hey, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out usgolftv.com. Check out Sanford Power Golf Academy. We're here to help you out. Hopefully tonight we opened up your eyes to thinking about the game a little bit differently. And at the end of the day, hope you start playing a little bit better golf. Until next time, we'll see you then.